Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Thursday, October 9th, 2014. This is a Texan TV news from Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville. I am Morgan Little. For today's campus news, we turn to Rebecca Gilligan for coverage of last night's homecoming events.
Last night was a very loud and spirit-filled night for Tarleton. The annual Yell contest held in Wisdom Gym featured all of the Greek organizations. They each performed a cheer showing off their school pride, and many of them featured traditions in their cheers. It started off with small division performances, then moved into the large division. There were also special performances by the Texas Stars, the cheer team, and of course the beloved Purple Poo. Here are some clips from last night's first and second place winners. Congratulations to all participating organizations. The runner-up in the small division was Delta Chi, and Farmhouse took the win. Alpha Gam was runner-up to the 2014 large division winners, Delta Zeta. Happy homecoming, Tarleton Texans.
Congratulations to all of last night's participants. Tonight's homecoming event, Midnight Breakfast, will begin at 10:30 at the dining hall, so be sure and get your purple pancakes. In today's regional news, Dublin local Matt Miller is set up to give away 1 million copies of his comic book, Marlin and Percy. Here's why.
What would cause this former Air Force pilot to want to become a publisher of comic books?
I grew up learning in a lot of ways how to read and getting excited to read, reading Superman and Spider-Man and all that.
Meet Matt Miller of Sticker Swarm Media, who's gone so bananas over his new comic book that he's decided to give away 1 million copies.
My goal is, with giving the 1 million comic books away, that we get that comic in a bunch of kids' hands and it helps inspire them to read.
The new comic book? Marlin and Percy.
Kids just love the idea of a couple of apes that want to be superheroes.
But there's more to the story than the adventures of this pair of superhero simians.
The goal is to teach values and principles and morals in the stories that we tell, but to do it in a fun way.
So for Matt, motivating kids to read is only the beginning.
To not only inspire them to read, but also to inspire them to be more involved in their community and just to inspire them to be better in general.
I'm Scott Hooper for Sticker Swarm Media.
Miller owns and operates a school fundraising company called School Spirit Vending that involves over 1,500 elementary schools from across the country. Through School Spirit Vending, they have begun distributing copies of the first comic as an ebook. If you would like to receive a copy of Marlin and Percy, you can visit the web link below at www.marlinandpercy.com. Here's today's top stories from the Associated Press. In international news, Istanbul is responding to a warning from U.S. generals and the Secretary of State John Kerry. The strategic Syrian border town could potentially fall to Islamic militants. The Turkish military has deployed its tanks on the side of the frontier, but they are under orders to not act. This action by Turkey and the supposed participation in a coalition forged to crush the extremist group is frustrating to Washington and its NATO allies, and reviving a rebellion by Turkish Kurds. With the fears of the Kurdish town Konabi could fall any day, U.S. and NATO officials are traveling to Turkey today to press negotiations for more Turkish involvement in the coalition. Turkey is standing its ground, insisting that it will only consider involvement in military action as a part of border strategy for ending the rule of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. And U.S. allies want to keep the focus on the Islamic State group Curry told news conference in Washington. As horrific as it is to watch in real time what's happening in Kahunabi, it's also important to remember you have to step back and understand the strategic objective. Rear Admiral John Kirby, the Pentagon press secretary, also conceded Kahunabi could fall because air power alone is not going to be enough to save that city. In national news, we turn to video footage from the Associated Press.
Roughly 200 workers who clean airplane cabins at New York's LaGuardia Airport picketed outside the terminal, a demonstration sparked by concerns over Ebola. The workers who are seeking to unionize say they are concerned that they might encounter bodily fluids while not having proper protective gear. Just a few miles away, New York's JFK Airport, one of 5 U.S. airports where passengers will be screened for the disease.
It's very important to everyone.
I just came from Tokyo, so maybe I'm coming from the wrong place, but I do think there should be severe screening, and they shouldn't let him in.
The screening will only be done on travelers from the 3 West African countries most impacted by Ebola. About 150 people arrive in the U.S. each day from those countries.
Screening on U.S. soil will almost certainly be better than screening just in Africa.
The other airports are Washington, Dulles, Newark, O'Hare, and Atlanta. Passengers with a fever will be interviewed to determine whether they may have had contact with someone infected with Ebola.
I actually think it'll have very little impact on recognizing infected people. And the problem, of course, is the long incubation period, the spectrum out to 21 days.
One infectious disease specialist doubts the effectiveness of the airport screenings.
And they're only taking temperature and asking patients about their illnesses. So I think it's going to have a very, very modest impact.
The screenings start at JFK Saturday and will expand to the other airports in the following week. Matt Friedman, Associated Press.
In state news, the first confirmed death from Ebola in the United States occurred yesterday at the Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. Patient 42-year-old Eric Duncan was kept in isolation since September 28th, where he had just been days earlier with a fever but was sent home by the hospital. Duncan revealed to the medical staff during his first visit that he had in fact been to West Africa, and upon returning the second time with the need for dialysis and respiratory help, there was little that the medical staff could do. The fear now is that in the several days, if not weeks, that Duncan was sick, he may have infected hundreds of others that he came in contact with. Health officials have confirmed 10 people that directly came in contact with Duncan during that time period. 7 of the 10 were health workers at the hospital. All of the potential contacts are being closely monitored for 21 days to ensure their safety and the safety of others. The death toll from the Ebola outbreak is now around 3,800. This has been a production of the Texan TV News, a product of the Texan News Service from Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas. Tune in to Northland Cable Channel 9 on weekdays at 12:30 for each of the day's top stories, and Wednesdays at 1 for the week's top stories in Spanish. You can follow the Texan News Service on Facebook and Twitter, and check out our website at www.texannews.net for all of your latest local, state, national, and international news, as well as all of your entertainment and sports updates and the live stream of Texan TV News. Today's broadcast was produced by Rebecca Gilligan, Haley Thompson, Misty Shorter. I am Morgan Little, and have a great day, wonderful Texan.